Elias had never felt truly alone until he stood on the edge of the outpost dome, gazing at the cold, distant stars. The exoplanet beneath him glowed faintly, its atmosphere shifting in soft colors he had never seen before. Months of isolation had made him restless, each day blending into the next, filled only with routine readings and maintenance logs. Yet tonight something in the air felt different, as if the planet itself was waiting for him to notice it. He was adjusting the atmospheric sensors, making sure they recorded the right data, when movement caught his eye. At first he thought it was a trick of the light, a reflection from the instruments. But the figure was real, standing just beyond the edge of the dome, cloaked in a veil that shimmered with colors he could not name. It moved with grace, as if gliding rather than walking, and yet there was a certain hesitation in its steps, a cautious awareness of him. Elias froze, unsure whether to call for help. His training told him to be careful. He was the first human to approach this planet closely, and the rules were strict, but curiosity pressed him forward stronger than fear. "Hello?" he called softly, not wanting to startle the being. The figure paused, tilting its head, then responded. The voice was musical, layered with a resonance that seemed to echo in the air. "Do not be afraid, human, I mean no harm." Elias's heart raced. The voice was perfect, clear, and somehow familiar, as if it had been waiting in his mind before he even spoke. He stepped closer, keeping his movements slow and open. I'm Elias, I come in peace. Are you part of this planet?" The figure nodded, the veil catching the dim light and flickering like water. "I am called Aaron. You are the first of your kind to come here. We have watched you for a long time." Elias felt a chill run down his spine. "Watched me?" he asked, though he already sensed the truth. Humanity had always dreamed of finding intelligent life beyond their world, but the reality was never supposed to feel so personal. Aaron's head tilted slightly again, and she took a step closer. The veil obscured her face, yet Elias felt the weight of her gaze. "We do not interfere lightly. We observe, we understand, you are different from others. There is curiosity in your heart, but no aggression." "This is rare," Elias blinked, unsure how to respond. No one had ever described him that way. He had faced hostile planets in simulations, negotiated tense situations with other humans, but here, in front of this being, he felt small. "Why me?" he asked. Aaron's voice carried a softness that seemed almost human. "Because you choose to see, not to conquer. Your kind often takes without thought. You think before action. This makes you interesting." The wind picked up, rustling the thin fabric of his uniform. He shivered, partly from the cold, partly from the intensity of her words. There was something magnetic about her presence, something that pulled him closer even as reason told him to maintain distance. "I want to understand," he said finally. "I've spent my life studying planets, stars, life itself. I want to know more about yours." Aaron remained still for a moment, as if weighing his sincerity. Then she nodded. "Very well. If you wish to learn, you must follow me." Elias hesitated only a moment before agreement overtook caution. He followed her across the barren surface down a path that seemed to bend with the subtle light of the planet. As they moved, he noticed small details. The way her movements made no sound on the rocky ground, the faint glimmer from her veil, and the way the air around her seemed charged with energy. "You will see many things you cannot yet understand," she said softly, "and yet you will learn if you are patient." He nodded, though his mind raced with questions. Who were her people? How long had they observed humanity? And most importantly, why had they chosen now and him to reveal themselves? For the first time since arriving on this lonely outpost, Elias felt truly alive. The stars above seemed to shine brighter. The winds carried new voices, and a sense of possibility stretched out before him. The night was no longer empty, and the universe no longer silent. As they disappeared into the shadows toward the glowing caverns that marked the entrance to Aaron's hidden world, Elias realized that his life had changed in a single moment. Nothing would ever be the same again, and somewhere deep inside he felt a mixture of fear and wonder that he had never known. Tonight, he was no longer just a human observer. He was a guest in a world waiting to show him its secrets. Elias followed Aaron through a narrow passage carved into the side of the glowing cliffs. The air grew warmer as they descended, carrying a faint, sweet scent that reminded him of flowers from Earth. Soft lights shimmered along the walls, not from any visible source, but from the rocks themselves. It felt as if the planet was alive, breathing beneath his feet. "How far down does this go?" Elias asked, his voice echoing slightly in the cavern. Aaron's veil shimmered in response. "Farther than your eyes can see. The surface is only the beginning. Our home is below." Elias swallowed hard. He had expected caves, maybe underground structures, but nothing had prepared him for what lay ahead. As they emerged into a wide chamber, his jaw dropped. The cavern opened into a vast city, filled with towers of crystal and bridges made of light. Bioluminescent plants stretched to the ceiling, their leaves pulsing with soft rhythmic glows. Strange creatures moved gracefully along the paths, their forms elegant and unlike anything he had imagined. "This is incredible," Elias whispered. He could hardly take in all the details at once. The city seemed to hum with life, each movement and sound perfectly in tune with the others. Aaron led him across a bridge that shimmered like water, but remained solid beneath his feet. "We call this place the heart of Kareth. It has existed long before humans looked at the stars. We hide it to protect ourselves from interference, to understand without being understood." Elias nodded slowly, realizing the weight of her words. Humans had always feared the unknown, often choosing to dominate rather than learn. Here, however, he saw a civilization that had mastered harmony. Every structure, every creature seemed connected to the world itself. As they walked, Aaron explained their ways. "Carithians live by observation and memory. We store our knowledge not only in books or machines, but in ourselves. Each of us carries pieces of our history, and we share it carefully only with those we trust." He listened, fascinated, as she spoke of their culture, their values, and their caution toward outsiders. "We have watched humanity for a long time," she continued, her voice calm but serious. "Your species is curious, yes, but also reckless. Many of your kind take what they do not understand. You have conquered, destroyed, and yet you also create beauty and wonder. This duality, it is difficult to predict." Elias felt a mix of awe and guilt. Humanity had so often failed itself. Yet here he was representing all of them, carrying the hope that they could be different. "And you think I am different?" he asked quietly. Aaron looked at him, her eyes hidden behind the veil, but her voice gentle. "Yes, you see, you listen before acting. You question, but you do not assume. That is rare. That is why you are here, Elias." He swallowed, feeling both the weight and the honor of her words. "I want to understand your world," he said. "I want to learn everything I can while I am here." She nodded. "Then you must remember patience. Not everything can be seen at once. Some truths are revealed only when you are ready. Do you have patience, human?" Elias smiled faintly, trying to hide his nervous excitement. "I will try." They continued through the city, passing creatures that glided through the air like ribbons of light and buildings that seemed to grow organically from the cavern walls. At the center, they arrived at a plaza filled with flowing water that sparkled with colors he could not name. Aaron paused and turned to him. "This is where we decide what is shared with outsiders," she said. "Only what is necessary for understanding, nothing more. The heart is a reflection of our minds, our values. To see it fully is to be trusted." Elias felt humbled. He realized how fragile this trust was. A single wrong word, a careless action, and the delicate balance could be broken. Yet he also felt a growing connection to Aaron, a sense that this encounter was not random. She gestured toward the plaza's edge. "Walk with me. You will see more of our people, our daily lives. Observe, do not interfere. Only by watching can you truly understand." As they moved among the Carithians, Elias noticed the subtle elegance in their movements, the quiet conversations that seemed to convey deep meaning, and the way every action had a purpose. This was a society built on observation, patience, and understanding, values humans had long struggled to uphold. For the first time, Elias felt that he was learning something beyond scientific data or charts. He was learning a way of life, a philosophy of existence that challenged everything he had known about civilization. As night approached in the cavern, the glowing plants and structures cast long, soft shadows, creating an otherworldly landscape that seemed almost magical. Elias turned to Aaron, ready to ask questions, to understand more, but she simply smiled beneath her veil. "Rest now, human," she said. "Tomorrow you will see more, and perhaps then, the questions you ask will begin to shape the answers you seek." Elias watched her glide away into the shimmering lights of the city, realizing that his journey had only just begun. The planet, the people, and Aaron herself held mysteries he had never imagined, And for the first time in his life, he was eager not only to explore the stars but to understand the beings who called them home. The next day, Elias woke to a soft light that seemed to rise from the walls of the cavern itself. He had slept in a chamber that pulsed gently with color, and despite the unfamiliar surroundings, he felt safe. Erin was already waiting for him when he opened his eyes, standing at the edge of the chamber with her veil flowing like liquid silver. "Good morning, human," she said, her voice carrying the same musical quality that had fascinated him the night before. "Today you will learn more about who we are. Observe carefully and remember, understanding comes from patience." Elias nodded, still in awe of her presence. He followed her as they walked through a garden of glowing plants, some tall as trees, others delicate and floating like lanterns. Their colors shifted with every movement, reflecting the rhythm of the cavern's subtle energy. "I feel like I'm walking in a dream," he said quietly. Erin smiled, a hint of amusement in her voice. "To us, this is real. You will learn to see with more than your eyes while you are here." They arrived at a plaza where several Corythians had gathered. Unlike Elias, they were not surprised by his presence. Instead, they observed him with gentle curiosity. Some communicated with soft hums, others with gestures that seemed like dancing. Elias realized that their language was more than sounds. It was a combination of motion, tone, and light. "This is our Council of Knowledge," Erin explained. "We meet to discuss matters of importance, but also to observe those who interact with outsiders. Today you will watch but not speak." Elias stayed still as the Corythians performed their ritual. He noticed how every movement had meaning, how every glance and gesture was deliberate. It was a form of communication that humans had no name for. Yet he could feel the emotions behind it: respect, curiosity, and shared purpose. After the gathering, Erin led him to a quiet area where the glow of the plants was soft and comforting. "Do you see my veil, human?" she asked. Elias nodded. "Yes, it hides your face, your features, your true form. Why do you wear it?" She paused, as if considering how much to reveal. "The veil is a symbol of trust and caution. Only those we trust completely may see us as we truly are. It is not only protection but also respect, for ourselves and for those who might misunderstand. To remove the veil is a gift and a risk." Elias absorbed her words. "So, you are showing me this much because you trust me?" Erin inclined her head slightly. "Yes, you have shown patience, curiosity without aggression. That is rare among your kind. But trust must grow slowly. It is not given lightly." He felt honored and nervous at the same time. The veil, so simple in appearance, carried meaning he could barely begin to understand. It was not just a barrier, but a promise, a reflection of the care with which the Corythians approached life. As the day continued, Erin guided him through lessons about their history and philosophy. She showed him ancient records stored in crystal libraries, each containing knowledge encoded not in words alone, but in light patterns and vibrations. Elias struggled to understand fully, but he tried, sensing that even the attempt to comprehend was valued. "You humans often rush," Erin said gently as they paused by a glowing stream. "You take what you want quickly, and you rarely consider the consequences. Here we wait. We observe. We learn first, then act. This is how we survive and thrive." Elias nodded. He remembered Earth's wars, its environmental destruction, and the mistakes of his own species. The contrast was stark yet inspiring. If humans could learn even a fraction of this patience, perhaps they could be more than conquerors. The afternoon brought another test. Erin introduced him to other Corythians, some of whom interacted directly with him, speaking and gesturing in ways he barely understood. He noticed the subtle caution in their eyes, the way they measured each action and word. He realized that every interaction mattered here, and that his presence alone could influence their perception of humanity. By evening, Elias felt exhausted, but exhilarated. He had seen so much, learned so much, and yet he knew this was only the beginning. Erin led him back to the chamber where he had slept. She paused at the entrance, her veil catching the soft light. "Rest now," she said. "Tomorrow you will meet those who watch more closely, who judge more carefully. Your actions will speak louder than your words. Remember patience, human, and remember why you are here." Elias watched her move away, her figure blending with the shimmer of the cavern. He realized that trust, understanding, and connection were delicate and powerful things. For the first time, he felt that his mission was not simply to observe a new world, but to learn a new way of being. and perhaps to show his own kind that humans could change. As he lay down, he thought of Erin in the Vale, and of the lessons hidden in the quiet motions of her people. The Carithians had a world built on harmony, respect, and observation, and he had been given a glimpse into it. For the first time in a long while, he slept not as a lonely observer, but as someone who belonged, even if only a little, to something far greater than himself. The calm of the cavern shifted as word of Elias's presence spread through the Carithian city. By mid-morning, Erin received a summons from the High Council, the governing body of her people. The air around her shimmered with tension, though to Elias it appeared no different from the soft glow of the cavern. "You must go," she said quietly to him, her voice carrying an uncharacteristic weight. "The council has heard of your presence. They will question me and perhaps even question you. This is serious." Elias nodded, feeling a knot of unease in his stomach. He had thought his arrival would be met with curiosity alone, but the Carithians' caution was deeper than he had imagined. "Do you think they will punish me?" Erin shook her head slightly. "They do not punish lightly, but they must decide if your presence is a threat or a gift. You must remain calm. Speak only if asked, and let me guide the conversation." The chamber of the High Council was unlike anything Elias had seen. Towers of crystal rose around a circular platform, and Carithians of every age and status gathered there, their veils glowing faintly. The air vibrated subtly, filled with unspoken communication that he felt in his chest rather than heard with his ears. Erin approached the council and bowed her head. "Honored members," she began, her voice steady, "I bring before you a human, one who observes without aggression, who learns with patience." A murmur ran through the assembly. Some glowed more brightly, a signal of excitement or curiosity, while others dimmed, reflecting doubt or concern. One of the eldest members stepped forward, his form taller and more luminous than the others. "Erin," he said, his voice like a deep chime, "we have watched humans for centuries. They bring both curiosity and destruction. Why do you place your trust in this one?" Erin met his gaze without faltering. "Because he is different. Elias does not seek to dominate or to harm. He seeks understanding. I have observed him closely, and his intentions are sincere." The elder's light flickered, a sign of thought. "Intentions are not enough. Humans are unpredictable. One act of carelessness could undo centuries of caution. What makes you certain he will not betray us?" Elias stepped forward, uncertain but compelled to speak. "I do not expect you to trust me," he said, his voice steady. "I know my people have made mistakes, but I am here to learn, not to take. I will not act without understanding your world, your ways, or your trust. I ask only for a chance to prove this." The council paused, the cavern vibrating with the weight of their deliberation. Erin's confidence seemed to anchor him, and he felt a strange courage take root. Finally, the elder spoke again. "Very well. We shall allow him to stay, but under observation. He will not interfere with our society, and any breach of conduct will result in immediate removal. You, Erin, must guide him and vouch for his actions." Erin inclined her head, relief shimmering faintly through her veil. "It will be as you command." Elias exhaled, tension leaving him in slow waves. He realized how fragile this acceptance was, how easily it could have turned against him. Yet he also understood the magnitude of the moment. The Carithians were giving him a rare opportunity to learn and to build trust between their species and his own. As they left the chamber, Erin took a long look at him. "This is only the beginning," she said. "You will meet others who watch more closely, who judge more carefully. Every step you take will matter." Elias nodded, feeling the responsibility settle on his shoulders. "I understand," he said. "I will not betray this trust." For the next few hours, Erin guided him through the city once more, introducing him to Carithians who were curious but cautious. Each interaction was measured, deliberate, and Elias noticed how much he had to learn just to communicate respectfully. The language, gestures, and even the subtle lights of the veil all carried meaning. One misstep could signal ignorance, disrespect, or worse, hostility. Yet through it all, he and Erin shared small moments of connection. A subtle smile, a quiet laugh at a shared observation, the way she allowed him to walk beside her through the city rather than behind. These small gestures felt monumental to Elias, a language of trust and closeness that went beyond words. As the day turned to night, Elias looked out over the glowing city from a cliff near the heart. The lights of the Carithians shimmered like stars beneath him, and the weight of what he had experienced pressed gently on his mind. He was beginning to understand a culture built on observation, patience, and respect, values humans often struggled to uphold. Erin came to stand beside him, her veil catching the soft light. "You are learning quickly," she said, "and yet you must remember trust is earned, not assumed. The Council has allowed your presence, but they are cautious, always cautious. One careless word, one wrong action, and this fragile bridge could collapse." Elias nodded, feeling both the gravity and the opportunity of what he had been given. "I will be careful," he said. "I want to show you, and them, that humans can be more than their mistakes." Erin inclined her head, a faint glimmer of hope behind her words. "Perhaps you will," she said. "Perhaps you will." As night settled over the cavern, Elias realized that the journey ahead would not only test his courage, but also his ability to truly understand another world, and himself. The bridge between humans and Carithians was small and fragile, but he now held a part of it in his hands, guided by the one who had first removed the veil of mystery and shown him that trust could exist, even between two very different species. The twin suns of the exoplanet hung low over the horizon, casting long golden shadows across the crystal cliffs. Elias followed Erin to a plateau overlooking the glowing city below. The air was warm, and a gentle wind carried the subtle scent of the bioluminescent plants that filled the caverns. Tonight everything felt suspended between reality and a dream, as if the world itself were holding its breath. Erin stood at the edge, her veil shimmering in the soft light. Elias watched her, uncertain of what she intended. "Why here?" he asked softly. "Why bring me to this place now?" She turned to him, her movements graceful and deliberate. "Because this is where trust is shown and where choices are made," she replied. Her voice, musical and calm, carried weight he could feel in his chest. "You have learned much of our ways, and yet there is one truth you have not seen fully, not just of my people, but of me." Elias's heart raced. He had known moments of danger, moments of discovery, but nothing had prepared him for the intensity of this moment. I am ready to see," he said, though uncertainty lingered in his words. Erin took a slow step closer. She reached up with delicate hands and without hesitation removed her veil. Elias felt a sudden stillness in the air, as if the world itself had paused to witness what was happening. Before him stood Erin's true form, luminous, elegant, and unlike any being he had ever seen. Her skin seemed to glow faintly, reflecting the light of the twin suns in the city below. Her eyes, large and radiant, held an intelligence and depth that made him feel both humbled and awed. Elias could not speak at first. His mind struggled to process the beauty and the trust in front of him. Every instinct told him to look away, to shy from the intensity of what was offered, but he could not. He met her gaze, and in that moment he understood that this was not just about curiosity or observation. This was a choice, a gift of vulnerability, and a plea for honesty. "Tell me, human," she said softly, her voice carrying a mixture of hope and caution. "Do you truly love me?" The question struck him with unexpected force. Love was a word he had used lightly in books and in passing thoughts, but never with this weight, this gravity. He realized that she was asking not for a fleeting emotion, but for something deeper: respect, trust, and commitment. Elias took a step closer, his voice steady despite the rush of feelings. I care for you deeply, Erin, not just for what you are, but for who you are. Your people, your ways, your courage, they inspire me. And you have shown me trust and understanding in ways I never thought possible. I cannot pretend to know the future, but I know what I feel now. I care for you and I respect you, more than I have ever respected anyone. Erin's luminous eyes softened. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The wind carried the quiet hum of the city below, the gentle pulse of life in the caverns, and the shared heartbeat of two beings standing on the edge of something new. You speak truth, she said finally, her voice a whisper against the wind. That is all that can be asked. Love is not only a feeling, but a choice, and you have chosen honesty, courage, and respect. That is rare, human. That is precious. Elias felt relief, warmth, and awe all at once. The veil had been removed, but more than that, a barrier between two worlds had begun to dissolve. He realized that this moment was not simply about them, but about the possibility of understanding between their species. a bridge built on trust, patience, and care. For a long time, they stood together at the cliff's edge, watching the twin suns dip behind distant mountains. The city below glowed softly, reflecting the harmony and life that had been preserved for centuries. Elias felt the weight of his role as a human observer, but he also felt hope that humans could learn, and hope that two very different beings could find connection despite the vastness of the universe. Finally, Erin spoke again, her voice carrying a quiet determination. You must remember this moment, Elias. Trust is fragile and honesty is rare. But this is the beginning. Our connection, and the chance for our peoples to understand one another, rests on what we do next. Elias nodded, understanding the responsibility he now held. I will remember. I will honor it, and I will do everything I can to show that humans can be worthy of this trust. She inclined her head, a soft glow radiating from her as the suns vanished behind the horizon. Then we begin together, she said, and perhaps one day, both our worlds will know that understanding is stronger than fear. Elias looked at her, no longer just a mysterious figure behind a veil, but a being of light, trust, and hope. And in that moment he knew that his life, and perhaps the future of humanity, had changed forever. The morning light filtered softly through the glowing crystals of the cavern, painting the walls with hues of gold and green. Elias stood near the edge of the heart, gazing at the flowing rivers of light that ran through the Carithian city below. His mind was heavy with thought. Today he would have to make a choice that could change the course of his life, and perhaps the future of two worlds. Erin approached quietly, her veil absent, letting the warm light reveal her luminous features. She looked at him, her eyes calm but full of understanding. You are troubled, human, she said softly. The council has spoken. Your superiors demand your return. You must decide what path you will take. Elias turned to her, his heart tightening. The thought of leaving this world, leaving her, filled him with a mix of fear and sorrow. Yet he also felt the weight of responsibility. Earth needed his reports, his knowledge. His presence on this planet was not just personal. It was a symbol of humanity's first step toward understanding a new civilization. I do not know what to do, Erin, he admitted, his voice low. If I return, I may lose this. I may lose you, and the chance to truly understand your people. But if I stay, I risk disobeying my mission and perhaps endangering everything I have been sent to protect. Erin reached out and placed a hand on his shoulder. Her touch was warm, grounding him in the moment. Love and trust are not just feelings, Elias, they are choices. Every action you take matters and every decision shapes the future. You have already shown courage, honesty, and respect. Now you must act with the same heart. He nodded, closing his eyes for a moment. Memories of the past months flooded him. The first meeting with her on the dome, the journey through the glowing caverns, the lessons of patience and observation, and the moment she removed her veil. He realized that this was more than attraction or curiosity. It was a recognition of values shared between them, understanding, trust, and care. Finally, he spoke. I cannot leave, he said, his voice steady, carrying the weight of his choice. I cannot go back to a world that does not yet understand what I have seen here. I will stay, not just for you, Erin, but for the chance to build a bridge between our people. I will honor your trust, and I will do everything I can to show that humans can be worthy of it. Erin's eyes brightened, a soft glow radiating from her. You speak truth, human. This is a choice not lightly made. It carries risk but also hope. You have decided to act with honesty, and that is the beginning of something far greater than ourselves. Elias felt a surge of relief and purpose. He realized that staying did not mean abandoning his people. It meant representing them in a way they had never seen before, with patience, respect, and understanding. He would be the living proof that humans could learn, adapt, and connect with civilizations far older and wiser than their own. They spent the day walking through the city, visiting the chambers of knowledge and meeting Carithians who observed him closely. Each interaction was a test, a way for him to demonstrate that his decision was sincere. He listened carefully, asked thoughtful questions, and shared insights from his own world without judgment or superiority. Slowly, the observers began to nod, their light softening, a sign of approval. As night fell, Elias and Erin returned to the cliff overlooking the heart. The city below shimmered like a sea of stars, and the twin moons cast gentle reflections on the crystal towers. Elias looked at her, feeling the gravity of what they had begun together. "You have made a choice," Aaron said softly, "and in doing so you have shown the Council, and perhaps your own people, that humans can act with honor and care. But this is only the beginning. The path ahead will not be easy. There will be doubt and there will be challenge. You must remain true to your heart." "I will," Elias promised. "I want to help our worlds understand each other. I want to show that love, respect, and trust are not just words. They are actions." Aaron reached for his hand, their fingers intertwining. "Then together we will begin this journey. You have chosen to stay, and that choice carries more power than you know, not only for us, but for the future of both our worlds." Elias felt a sense of peace he had never known. The fear of leaving, the uncertainty of his mission, and the loneliness of being the first human on this world all faded into purpose. He was not just an observer anymore. He was a participant, a bridge, and a witness to something extraordinary. As they stood side by side, watching the glowing city pulse with life below, Elias realized that staying was not an escape, but a commitment. He had chosen honesty, courage, and connection over fear and obligation. And in that moment, he understood that love was not simply a feeling, but a force that could shape the future, if one had the courage to act. Aaron looked at him, her luminous eyes reflecting both pride and hope. "You have made your choice, human. Now the universe will see what we can do together." And for the first time, Elias felt that the stars above were not distant or lonely, but filled with possibility, a future waiting to be built with trust, understanding, and the courage to follow one's heart. The city glowed softly beneath the twin moons, casting gentle reflections across the crystal towers. Elias and Aaron stood at the edge of the cliff, overlooking the heart, the pulse of the Carithian civilization. For months, humanity had remained distant, unaware of the intelligence and beauty hidden beneath this planet's surface. Now, with Elias staying by Aaron's side, that distance had begun to shrink. The council had gathered again to discuss the next steps. Elias observed from a respectful distance, understanding the delicate balance he now represented. Carithians of all ages communicated in subtle light and motion, debating and reflecting. Despite their initial caution, the presence of a human had begun to spark hope, a hope that their two worlds might learn to understand one another. Aaron turned to Elias, her luminous form radiating calm and confidence. "Your people will not come all at once," she explained. "The council has decided that limited contact will begin. They will send envoys to observe, to learn, and eventually to share knowledge. This will be slow, but it is the first step toward understanding." Elias nodded. "And I will be their guide," he said. "I will help them understand your world, your people, and your values. I will make sure they see what I have seen, the beauty, the wisdom, and the care in everything you do." She smiled faintly, a gentle warmth in her eyes. "Then we begin together. Your honesty and respect have opened a door that could have remained closed forever. But remember, patience will still be required. Humans are often hasty, and our world must be approached with care." Over the following days, Elias worked closely with the Carithians. He learned not only their language and customs, but also the subtleties of their culture, how light, gesture, and silence conveyed as much meaning as words. Aaron guided him, teaching him to observe carefully, to speak thoughtfully, and to act with integrity. Every interaction became a lesson, not only in communication but in the power of trust. One evening, as they walked through the glowing gardens near the heart, Elias turned to her. "I never imagined that trust could feel so powerful," he said quietly. "It's more than belief or hope. It's a responsibility, a connection, a promise." Aaron nodded. "Yes, human. That is why the veil is sacred. To remove it is to give oneself completely, to trust another with truth. You have honored that gift, and in return, you have been entrusted with a bridge between our worlds." Elias felt a deep sense of purpose. His life on Earth had seemed ordinary, confined to routines and expectations. Here he had discovered meaning, responsibility, and a connection that transcended species, culture, and distance. He realized that love and understanding were intertwined, that the care he felt for Aaron was inseparable from the respect he held for her people. As weeks turned into months, humanity began sending small teams of observers to the planet, guided by Elias. The Carithians received them cautiously, but slowly trust began to grow. Misunderstandings occurred, as Elias had expected. but each was resolved with patience and care. And through it all, Aaron remained by his side, a constant reminder that connection and honesty could change hearts and minds. One night, they stood together at the cliff once more, watching the city shimmer below. Elias turned to Aaron, his heart full. "Do you think our worlds can truly understand each other?" he asked. She looked at him, her luminous eyes reflecting both hope and caution. "Understanding is never simple, Elias, but it is possible. You have shown that humans can act with respect and care. That is the first step. And together we will continue to build that bridge." Elias reached for her hand, holding it gently. "Then we keep going," he said. "We learn, we teach, we grow, not just for us, but for everyone." Erin's smile deepened, her glow brightening slightly in the soft light. "Yes, human. We keep going. And perhaps one day, our peoples will look back and see that this moment, this choice, this trust, this connection, was the beginning of something greater than either of us alone." The twin moons rose higher, bathing the crystal towers in silver light. Below, the city pulsed with quiet energy, alive with possibility. Elias and Aaron stood together, no longer just human and Carithian, but partners in a future built on trust, understanding, and courage. The bridge between their worlds had begun, delicate yet strong, and with each passing day it grew wider, reaching toward the stars. In that moment, Elias understood that adventure and discovery were not always found in distant planets or alien landscapes. Sometimes they were found in the choices one made, in the trust one gave, and in the courage to love and respect across all boundaries. And with Aaron by his side, he knew that the journey was only beginning. A journey not just for them, but for all those who dared to believe that understanding could be stronger than fear.